Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mohammed Ali Hamemi. I'm Virtual Reality Head of Section at Qatar University. And today I'll be trying to show you how a new technology called virtual reality could completely change our way to teach and our way to spread information in university, in the academic world. So let me just give you a brief historical view of virtual reality. Virtual reality was used a couple of years ago, mainly in the private world, in manufacturing cars, aerospace, etc. And in the universities, it's still not so used, but more and more, especially in Europe, United States, and more and more in the Middle East. So let me first try to show you what kind of changes happened in our way to teach. Basically, it's not really our way to teach, but the tools that we are using to teach. Basically, books was transformed in mobile devices like laptops, like smartphone, tablet, and blackboards, and all the data that we put in blackboards was transformed in what we call MOOCs, or online video for teaching and for training. Those MOOCs are basically, you will be able to find a lot in internet, especially through YouTube channels. So there is no, actually, with these changes in our tool to teach, there is no real revolution. The student will have the same posture during teaching or training. He will keeping watching statically things happening. So he will be watching professor explaining things, or a video explaining something happening in the molecular field or in the solar system, etc. And for complex topics and big data amounts, the student will still miss things. So as much, the more complex is the topic, the more things the student will miss. And all those issues can be solved by another way to teach. And this another way can be brought by virtual reality. So basically, virtual reality will allow us to change our position in the classroom. We won't be just watching, but we will be allowing students to be physical on the topic. We can imagine putting a student in another world, like in the solar system, in an ancient site, ancient Egypt, ancient Maya civilization, etc., in order to give him more feeling and more experience on the topic. A very important point brought by by virtual reality, it's also the memorization process. The student will be able to memorize more data, especially for complex topic, because he will not only be reading something or a course or something. He will be in the course. He will be in the topic. So I'll be trying now to explain you and to showcase what could be the best virtual reality system that university could have. This system is called cave system. It's basically like a room with each side of this room projected with a video or with an animation and with a 3D model. So here in this slide you see a professor or a student in this room, and all the sides of this room are projected, even the floor. We can also imagine the top of the system also projected. Now, in order to give you a complete view of this system, I'll be explaining the components. The first component is the 3D projector. The 3D projector is the same that is actually used in 3D theater. So it's a big 3D projector allowing us to have a nice brightened image but also a nice detail. It's quite different from the 3D projector that you can find in regular shop around. So the big point is the quality of the image, but the negative point is the cost. This kind of projectors are quite costly. Second component, and quite important, is the tracking system. The tracking system will allow the system to know your position in the space and render the best point of view for you. It means that when you will be walking through, for example, a city in virtual reality, all the environment will interact with you. So you will be having the feeling to really walking in a real village or city or building. The third component is the clustering PC. The clustering PC will allow us to render. It means that we are going, for example, to showcase a city or a model, or 3D model, in a 3D model. And the more complex is the model, the more powerful clustering PC we have to have. So that's very important to have a clustering PC enough strong to render complex models. So here it's a snapshot about our cave here in Qatar University. So we have a four-sided cave. You see the red point on the top of the side of the cave. That's the tracking system that will track the user inside the cave and render the best point of view. We can, of course, add sound or sound. Like music or like someone explaining things during the session, that will add more immersion to the whole experience. So around the world there is a lot of shapes of virtual reality system. There is curved screen, there is three-sided screen, there is what we call power wall, which is only one screen in front of you. And there is also, of course, what we call HMD, so head-mounted display, like Oculus Rift or HTC Vive. So all those systems bring good immersion, but for the academic application of this kind of system, from my point of view, the cave are the best system. So because they will allow us to have, of course, an immersion, but it will be easier for us to share with students, to share a teaching session with a lot of students around in a cave system. We could have more than 40 students in around the cave, and organize, groups of 4 or 3 each time entering the cave and experiencing and seeing things happening, and also interacting inside the system. So the virtual reality system, or the virtual reality, could be enough flexible to be a central part of the processes of teaching in university. It means that we can use it for a lot of topics. So medical, we can use it for medical to explore the human body, for example, or to experiment, things on frogs or on rabbit, and to develop processes for each field. So here in Qatar University, you see on those pictures that we are using our system for a large number of students. So the system can be used for teaching, for project review, etc. So here is a slide to show you that virtual reality can be shared. That can be shared by a lot of departments. So, for example, in university, we could have a central position of virtual reality, and allow this to be linked to engineering, to architecture, to medical, to education, etc. So, with those colleges, we can establish processes. So, for engineering, for example, we can imagine student senior group using it for their senior projects. architecture, we can imagine a professor explaining how to build a building, or urbanist how to fit, to allow a building to fit to the environment. For the medical, we can imagine using it for experimentation on animals, for example, or explaining a human body. And for education, we can use it for a lot of topics, like I said previously, explore a solar system, or animal cell or something. With that, we can use also virtuality system for the life of the university. We can use it for different workshops, so it can be linked to, for example, environment studies, organizing an event to talk about environment issue in Qatar or elsewhere, and we can embed a VR workshop during this event. For sure, we can also use it to showcase what could be a virtuality for VIP. So if a university is signing an agreement with an oil and gas company or another company, we can invite them and show them another way to collaborate in virtuality. All this data that we will produce will be a big component on the data resources of the university. So it will be a great value, not only having data in flash disk and hard disk, etc., but also to give life to all this data by allowing people to explore it, to see it from different point of view, and so it's really a new life for data, for 3D data. So here also another slide to show all the flexibility that we could have using a virtuality. So a slide of animal cell session, teaching session, a geometry session for College of Education, and another picture of student exploring a solar system. So virtuality system also in a university could be a very good way to share with universities around. We can imagine, for example, having a cave system in Qatar University and having another system in Saudi Arabia. Those systems can be linked. So we can run a model in Qatar and run the same model in Saudi Arabia, and allow professors in Qatar and in Saudi Arabia to work in the same model in the same time. So they will see in the same time the model, but also their avatar. So the professor in Qatar will be seeing the professor in Saudi Arabia, and he will be also being able to talk and to highlight some part of the model running in the cave and collaborate. So it can be an amazing tool for research at a regional level, and also, of course, at international level. So to summarize all this, I want to really highlight the fact that virtuality can be a real revolution for teaching. It will help us to touch a lot of topics inside the university. It will be the case for engineering, that will be the main user of virtuality, because they are using a lot of 3D software and they are generating a lot of model during the year. So they will be having virtuality in teaching session, in senior project student during the year, and they will be very interested to having virtuality for their teaching and research. Of course, architecture are also mainly concerned about this usage. So imaging and modeling and designing a building in a 2D desktop will be nice, but not enough, to imagine all the building like in real. In a virtuality system, you could explore the building, you could walk through the building, and you will be able to see it in its environment before the implementation. Of course, here in Qatar, we are using virtuality also a lot for education, in order to have a better understanding about topics like solar system that is quite difficult to understand reading a book or watching a video. You will be able to explain what is the difference between a star, a planet, an orbit to students more easily, because they will be exploring those models like in real, and the experience will allow us to understand and to summarize and to memorize much better information. And at the end, we will be avoiding this kind of scene in the courses session. So the student will be excited about training, about teaching, because they will be interacting, they will be exploring, they will be seeing things like in real. So I hope this presentation was positive for you, and I'll be looking forward for your question and comments. Thank you.